good, YouTube? It's JAZCUTZ, and today we'll be going over a bald mid fade. Typically, I usually wash the hair first, but today I'm very limited to time, so I use my spray bottle, spray water through the hair, comb it through to find that hair pattern, make sure the hair is nice and neat before I attempt to cut. So my client wants a number 4 on top, so I run my 4 guard through, make sure the hair is very even. With his hair, I have to go in different directions. His hair sits more straight, goes in different directions, so you want to make sure it's an even cut all around. Like I said, you want to keep going through the hair, keep cutting in different directions so that it really does look even and neat. So that's why you'll see me keep going through over and over again. Here I'll be creating my mid-level guideline. You want to definitely make sure it's mid-level. Everyone's head shape is different, so you want to make sure you don't go too high nor go too low. And as you can see, I make my guideline with the contour shape of his head. It may look like a drop, but not necessarily. You want to definitely make that fade go with the flow of that person's head. For the most part, I clean as I go. I do believe the neater you are as you cut the hair, the neater the haircut comes out. So I tend to use talc periodically and dust my client off so the hair don't stick to the skin as I do his fade. So here I balled out. You want to get right underneath that guideline, not directly on the guideline, at least 1/4 of an inch right underneath it, so that later you can flick it out with that shaver. The thing is, you want to be able to take out each line with the next guard. So as I go up with my shaver to create that bald to light transition, in order for me to take out that line, I use my shaver and just flick down. I kind of use just the corners. I don't want to use the whole shaver because it will definitely leave a harsh line and you will not be able to take it out. My next guideline I use is the number 1 guard closed. And I just go up about 1 inch. His hair is fairly easy to fade out, so some hair may be thicker. You want to go up maybe a little bit higher to create enough space to fade out, but not too high, because then you'll just be pushing the fade higher and higher, and it will be no light to dark transition. Next, I use my half guard. And you just want to work it from open to halfway, from halfway to close. And the point is just to really create a soft blend. Also, it will be easy to take out that bottom line by working the lever from open to close. Next, I use my metal guard, and basically you just want to work that lever from open to closed. And like I mentioned before, his hair is fairly easy to blend and fade, so you just want to basically use details. And when I mean details, basically just the corners. Sometimes it don't take the whole blade. The whole blade can sometimes leave a harsh line. And next I use my 1.5 guard. I basically use this guard to create space like I did with my 1 guard before. And as I mentioned before, you want to make sure your guidelines are in uniform shape. Make sure they are even and neat. It will only help your fade come out cleaner, and it will give you less work to do when it comes to detailing. Now I'm going to try to fade out that bottom line that I created with that 1.5. So now I'm going to use my 1 open, and I'm going to work that 1 open to closed. Now I'm going to use my half guard and work that from open to close. But as you can see, I pull the skin as I fade, and I also only use the corners. Like I said, you don't always want to use the whole blade. It will just only push the fade up higher. And basically how I cut, I do one side of the head at a time. So the back is typically always last for me. And here I just use my metal guard open, same steps I do on each side. I work that from open to close, and like I said again, you don't always want to use that whole blade. You can see me just using the corners just to clean out that bottom line. And here I'm just repeating my steps over. This is the 1.5 closed, and basically I'm just gonna work that guideline out with my 1 open to 1 closed. And like I said, I like to do one side of the head at a time. I will start with the right or the left, but the back is always last, because doing the sides first help me with a sense of direction. It helps me knowing exactly where to keep that guideline flowing. Sometimes the back may be a little bit more difficult than the sides. And here you'll see me doing a little bit of detail work. And like I said before, some areas are maybe a little thicker than others. So you may have to put back on your previous guards and work out a certain area. And like I said, only use the corners. Some areas do not need the entire blade. You will only push your fade up higher, so stay within that guideline range. Here I'll just be going over the bulk with my 2.5 guard open, and I work that to close as well.
Scotty dripping.
After I use my 2.5 open and I work that from open to close, I come back in with a little detail work with my 1.5 open, and I also work that to closed. And again, you'll be doing a lot of detail work. Once the fade is complete, you'll see some areas that you might want to hit and go over. So you'll see me just going over some areas, making sure it looks well blended, making sure the top is even. And here I'll be doing a clipper over comb technique, and this is very important for more of my straight hair clients. It's some areas you may not see that may stick out, and this technique is very useful when completing a fade. And for this haircut, my client likes enhancements, so I'm gonna add some, and then you'll see me sharpening up after I apply the enhancements with the straight razor. I highly recommend beginners to actually practice with the enhancements. Just focus on making sure the haircut is clean first, because you want to basically apply little to no enhancements. You don't want to soak down your clients with hair dye over a clean cut. And here basically I'm just gonna straight razor everything all together. It's very important to pull the skin outward as you bring the straight razor in to leave a clean finish. Here I just use my scissors just to get the long hairs that the straight razor or the trimmer might not get. And there you have it. So if you guys have any comments or questions, please leave them below in the comment section. And please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel at JAZCUTZ.
Scotty dripping.